everybody. Welcome to a first live episode of Automation Ladies in 2025. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
What's up?
Woo! So I have hopefully some familiar faces on the show today to you. If you haven't met any of them, then what a delight for you today, a treat to meet my fellow industry podcast hosts, some of my inspirations, and why I got into this in the first place. And as I'm sure you're here, you were invited to, we're discussing the Industrial Marketing Summit, which is an event that I participated in last year. It was the inaugural event last year in Austin, Texas. And I was on a panel with some of these fine folks. Chris was there with me. And this year, I'm actually not participating as a speaker or anything, but Automation Ladies is a media partner, and I will be attending actually as an attendee to learn from the speakers this time. So I'm really excited. And I just thought I would love for more people in our community, particularly marketers that may not know about this event, to get a little bit of a sneak peek and see what brings these fine folks to Austin in February to talk about industrial marketing. So I guess I'll start just because it is a brand new year. And if you're an Automation Ladies, community member and you follow us at all, just want to say I just started a new job. I was just telling Jim that after day 3 on the job, I think I've made a really good decision, and I'm super excited for what's to come. Also because I took the job with, it was definitely a collaboration that we looked at, how can I continue to do Automation Ladies and OT Skatacon and all these great things while, at the same time bringing a lot of value to my employer and, letting those two things work together. And I think I found a really great fit. So, just wanted to say that's my update for 2025. And if everybody else wants to maybe go around, introduce themselves briefly and tell us, what exciting things you have in store for 2025, if anything. And then we'll dive right into talking about the Industrial Marketing Summit. So Jim, you want to go first?
Hi, Nikki. 2025 is going to be an awesome year. I've pivoted. I'm changing things a little bit in my approach to the industry. We're going to do a lot more live workshops in 2025.
Very cool.
We're working with a couple of partners to do those out in various cities across the U.S. Namely, hey, David, good to see you. And so that'll be a massive benefit, I hope, to the industry. They're 3-day leadership development workshops, very intense, very hands-on. We do everything from build paper airplanes as a team to see how far they fly, to workshop ideas to create personal development plans. So these workshops are going to be a great thing. I'm also launching a new show called Work But Make It Human, where I take a lot of the principles that I talk about on the Manufacturing Culture podcast, and I package it into a 15-minute really quick hit on how you can change the world of work, whether you're a leader, whether you're an individual contributor. I don't care who you are. Titles don't matter when it comes to leadership. We can all be leaders. So that'll be launching in the next couple of weeks. Each episode will have a downloadable resource right on our website, which will be a lot of fun and make it very actionable. Every episode will be actionable. So that's 2025 at this point. Really looking forward to it, and so pumped to be here. I haven't been on Automation Ladies before, so this is my entrance into the AL world, and I hope I now get a polo shirt too. That's all I have to say.
Welcome. I'll send you one of mine. I don't like wearing
perfect.
them anymore. They're not flattering to me. The hoodies, though, are great. But if you don't know, Jim Mayer he has other podcasts, he has other things, but the way I found him more recently was as the host of the Manufacturing Culture podcast, which is really cool. Leaders and people just in general, again, you don't need it. Doesn't matter the title, right? They come on, talk about the importance of good culture in manufacturing. And we actually used to work together at Keyence a long time ago. And then we got together and had a chat, and we're like, yeah, we care about culture and it's cool. I'm going to give a shout out to Ryan Treese, another ex-Keyence coworker, that we kind of had a very similar way of reconnecting over LinkedIn. So ex-Keyence peeps, find me on LinkedIn. It's a family. We'd love to talk. I also just wanted to throw out this question to Chris. I know it's going to be your turn last to introduce yourself. Not that you need an intro. David Turner asked, are you supposed to look like a bunny with the snowshoes over there?
That's a good question. I will cover that all here in just a moment. After,
Okay.
After Megan's introduction.
Yeah, we'll go clockwise. Although I'm trying to enforce the clockwise rules with my kids when we play board games. We were sick right before the holidays and right after, so we've played a lot of board games over the last few weeks. And
what's been the number one board game?
Well, it's actually been a card game based on a board game, but it's called Monopoly Deal.
Oh, okay.
And it's like a quick,
we found that too. Yeah,
quick and dirty way to play Monopoly. But we also have kids Monopoly. So overall Monopoly games, we have 3 of them. We have one that's made from my hometown, Akureyri, Iceland. So there are streets that I've lived on or that my grandma lives on, like on the Monopoly, which is super cool.
Oh, that's cool.
But it's in Icelandic, so I have to read all the cards. And then we have Monopoly Junior, and then we have the Monopoly. What did I just say it was called?
Deal.
I forget. Deal.
Monopoly
Exactly.
Deal. Yeah.
Awesome. But yeah, my son is 4 and my daughter is 6. She's about to turn 7, and it always says youngest goes first. And they have a problem with this. They want to alternate the who goes first, and then they've wanted me to be like, well, no, let this person go next. So a few times we played going counterclockwise, and then now I'm trying to enforce, like, no, the rules say clockwise. Now you have to decide where you sit before you start if you have a problem with who goes next. Anyway, Megan, you go next.
Congratulations, Nikki, by the way. That's awesome news for
Thank you.
And then the new board game that it's not new, but it's kind of from my era. Trouble. Have you guys heard of that?
Oh, yeah.
We've been playing that yesterday. We were
Trouble
playing
and
yesterday.
Sorry.
Yeah, and Declan got mad because I beat him yesterday after he was winning for a long time. And then I ended up beating him, so he was mad at me. But I'm Megan Zimba. I am a technical writer by trade for industrial manufacturing. I have a company called Z Inc. Solutions. So if you suck at sharing your stories, I'm the girl you need to hit up. And if you just want an edge to your storytelling, I'm the girl to hit up. I'm also the host of Mavens of Manufacturing. So I interview women from the shop floor all the way to C-suite, just to learn more about what they're doing in engineering and manufacturing. There's a few things going on in the world right now that are kind of upsetting for me to hear as a woman, where women in particular regions are losing their rights, especially to just basic general education. And it just means so much to me to be that voice for women in engineering and manufacturing. And I appreciate other women like Nikki and Allie and Courtney and Automation Ladies and our automation group that we have on LinkedIn, where we actually come together and we're sharing our successes and our struggles and our challenges, because I feel like when we come together, that's really uplifting us. So the Industrial Marketing Summit is really important to me because, you know, it's all about that storytelling. We can't really learn about other things that are going on if we don't have that storytelling perspective. So it just really helps you become a better marketer, where you're not sounding like a robot. Yes, they talk about AI, but they also talk about bringing the human into your storytelling. And I'm going to be on a panel about how you can. I had to write this down because I couldn't memorize. I'm still trying to recover from being off all of December.
Okay. You know, Megan, I'll go through the website later. So anything you don't remember, we can just, find your section on there.
Yeah. But I'll be on a panel with Jennifer Dawkins, Jacob Sanchez, which you guys know as the manufacturing kid, and then Mary Jutzi. She is the marketing manager for Batesville Products, and I love their website.
Yeah,
they got a kids section on their website. So super excited about that. And we're going to be talking about branding for recruiting the next generation. So how can you really transform your narrative and your marketing stuff to get the next generation to come and work for you at your company. So super excited. I don't know if they purposely put me on a panel with younger individuals. I'm like the oldest person on that panel, which is weird, but I'm here for it. Like, I'm excited about it. So excited to see you guys too, because I feel like it's been forever since we all hung out. So super excited about that.
Absolutely.
Yeah, very cool, Megan. And I just want to say thank you for the work that you do, because I know it's not for your own gain in terms of like Mavens of Manufacturing is not something that you really is your business. It's not your business. Yeah. And you don't make a lot of money from it, if any.
I really don't.
And I know that it's a lot of work, and there are so many people out there that appreciate it. And even though it isn't maybe something that's got like millions of followers and, you know, things like that, it's like it touches so many individual people, and it makes so many it makes such an impact that I just want to say thank you for keeping it going. And if you ever, you know, decide to take a break from it, we all understand. But at the same time, like it's what you've done so far, even if you don't continue it, has been a complete value add for the industry and a lot of people outside the industry, because it touches a lot of stories.
Thank you.
Chris Lukey, next. Thank you for joining us, and Happy New Year.
Happy New Year, and I will answer the earlier question first. I am up in the Upper Peninsula right now, so we'll be about as far south as we can be at the Industrial Marketing Summit, but right now I'm about as far north as I can be in the U.S. So
Okay.
that's why there's some snowshoes that, based on the camera position, look like bunny ears behind me right now. But
Well done.
nevertheless, keeping warm, getting out here doing some snow sports right now as I buckle down to get doing a little mix of remote work and extended holiday up here. So I'm looking forward to being back at the Industrial Marketing Summit this year to give a brand new talk where I'll be discussing how you can translate really innovative, unique live events into a great digital presence, whether that's from a campaign that you run before, during, and after the event, or whether that's through leveraging the voices of other people that are part of that event as well. So that'll be a very fun conversation to have at the end of February down at the Industrial Marketing Summit. And if you're meeting me for the first time, I run the Manufacturing Happy Hour podcast. So constantly having conversations with leaders in our industry the same way you would as if you're having a drink with someone. So that's a bit about me. Excited to be here. Hopefully the Wi-Fi holds up here in the north. And
we'll excuse you if you drop off.
Sounds good.
Thanks, Chris. I actually, during our episode of the Manufacturing Happy Hour, you asked me where I would be. And I mentioned St. Arnold's Brewery in Houston, which is a staple for anybody that's been around Houston. And I just connected with somebody there on the engineering side or maintenance. And because there's a distributor down here called AWS, and they used to hold an Oktoberfest event at the brewery every year called Best Fest. But it's grown so big that they had to take it off site to like a convention center now. So I've been there for that, and they had brewery tours during that time, but I miss them because it's me and I talk to people too much. And then like, where did the time go? Because I talked to a billion people and I didn't get anywhere. So I never took the brewery tour. But now that I know somebody, I'm looking to do a behind the scenes brewery tour at St. Arnold's finally with Allie, probably sometime after she makes the move. By the way, AL audience, Allie's moving to Houston. She's been saying that for a long time, but we have a date on it now. It's going to be in March, so we're really excited. And we're actually taking a bit of a hiatus from recording the podcast until she makes the move, because we just got a lot going on, and we're moving, and she's actually taking some time for a health retreat starting this weekend. So we have pre-recorded stuff, but we probably won't be coming out with the next season of Automation Ladies until about April, I would guess.
Nikki, can I ask?
Yeah,
when you're through, can I ask Chris a question? I don't want to interrupt you at all. Okay, Chris, I follow you on a lot of social media, like I do everybody on here, right? Love the snowshoe video, like that was pretty cool. But this morning, the steam coming off of those hot springs or the pools. Tell us about the place you're at, because that place looks absolutely magical. And if I had any sort of like technological chops, I'd play a clip of this or Chris's post right now. Chris, tell us about this place.
Chris, I think your Wi-Fi is acting up now. Did you hear Jim?
I'm back. I heard the question. I'll explain the spot here. It is a place. It's a magical place called Mount Bohemia. It is on the Keweenaw Peninsula of the Upper Peninsula here in Michigan. And there's a movie called Out Cold. It's a 2000 snowboarding movie. If you've ever seen it, it's this fictional kind of snowboarding town. And it's just very off the wall. And this is the type of ski resort that is very off the wall. The owner is very eccentric. He's invested in 6 different saunas as part of his Nordic spa, which is the area that Jim was referring to. And the best part is, unlike going to a Vail resort where it's over $1,000 for a season pass or over $300 a day to go skiing, a season pass at this spot is $99. But
What?
you just got to be willing to travel as far north as you can in the U.S. to go there. But once you're there, you're rewarded with a very good time.
Very cool.
If I lived in
Awesome.
Michigan, I would go for that deal. I used to. I had the Vail season pass 2 years in a row when I lived in the Bay Area. And I have not been to a ski resort or snowboarding in way too long now. So I will live vicariously through your post. Thanks, Chris.
Sounds good.
Actually, and I wanted to say about your session as well. One of the reasons I'm excited about just getting to attend, because some events that I go to, I do, more hosting or more interviews or more, meeting people in booths, then I get a chance to sit in on the actual programming. It just depends on kind of the event and, where I need to be. But it's not often that I just get to sit and be the consumer of the content in the conference. And with my new role being in business development, I'm not the marketing, person, but my role touches, of course, marketing in a lot of ways. And just in general, I think we are all marketers now. Like whether or not you are in the marketing function, if you care about your company growing, you should be thinking about the marketing of your company as well. Because the more that the word gets out, the more business your company gets, the more prospects you have for growth, right? The more opportunity you have. And so I think it's really cool that non-marketers can embrace, coming to conferences like this to learn about marketing, either for themselves to be able to do some stuff if they don't have a marketing department or they don't have a lot of capacity, or if they just, want to learn some skills and have some resources. A lot of it too, when you go to these types of conferences, is you may not need what somebody is talking about at the moment, but you will later. And then, you kind of have somebody in mind that you can either look up material or go find, or it's really nice to be able to make those connections. So I would be curious to see once we get to IMS, if they're like how many people in a non-marketing specific role are there and that may get benefit from it as well. I don't know if you guys have anything to say about that. If anybody wants to chime in on learning marketing, if you're not in a marketing role.
I'm trying to think last year if I met anyone who was outside of marketing, because I think all the people that I ran into had some sort of marketing role or had at least one touch point in the marketing stuff in their company. But I was really surprised too how many small businesses with, one person that wore many hats were there. And I think that's what's a great advantage of this specific conference is it does really pay attention to those businesses who, have maybe 1 or 2 people that are wearing multiple hats. And I learned a lot last year about, because that was when ChatGPT was coming out and everybody was just like, what is this? And experimenting with it. And I really liked how they had speakers last year really hone in on that specific trend. And like, I learned a lot on how to create prompts and stuff. And I think they have the same gentleman there this year that was part of it last year. So I'm just really excited to just learn.
Right?
Yeah.
I also found his presentation to be really, it was just full of like actual tips of what you could do.
And how to make that experience better with ChatGPT. It was really cool, especially in industrial marketing, because I just feel like it's kind of hard if you're a marketer outside of this space. So if you came from a different industry and you're not really adept to like all of the technical jargon and everything, I just thought his conversation was really helpful, because not every marketer that is in industrial manufacturing came here or started here. They came from another industry that's not so technical.
Right. And it does take some time to kind of get up on our lingo and how we do things. And there's Chris's event. I'm loving this photo, Chris. You look so cool. But that is actually one of the events that I'm really looking forward to sitting in with the students' mindset. Because I, if you don't know, am also the host of an event called OT Skatacon along with Allie and some of our friends. And we don't really know what we're doing in terms of being event organizers necessarily. I've run, small meetups and things like that before, but running our own conference, we just kind of had an idea and went for it. And we can always learn to do better. And so now this is kind of one of my areas that I want to continue to pick up new skills for, and hone in on getting better at it. The other one that I wanted to mention, Megan, based on your what you just mentioned, I think Carla and Brittany, potentially it was one of them. I think it was Carla that presented last year, that where she was like a really, really small team, or even maybe a department of one and I may be mistaken, but I think that was the case. And then they're actually running a talk this year about small but mighty, how to, get a lot done as a really small team. And I was incredibly impressed by the results that she had, and that she presented last year in terms of just how they're able to work with a very small team and, get a lot done and look like a really big brand with the same type of presence that maybe companies that have a lot more resources. So, and that's one of the things too, that I find myself like attracted to working for smaller companies. I don't like bureaucracy. I don't like not being able to act on my ideas or to be told to stay in my lane. And so, working at a very specific position in a really large company isn't necessarily for me. But that also means that I don't usually have a lot of resources at my disposal, and I have to get smart about how to, use our time and money. And, you don't have that many people that you can just have do certain things. So this is going to be a really relevant session for me as well that I'm really looking forward to. Jim, Chris, you guys have anything that you're thinking of that I could pull up here on the website and show people?
Well, I was just going to say, you're talking about non-marketers at this event, right?
Yeah.
My session is all about that culture of an organization and how it relates to branding. And so I think that people who attend can not necessarily be in that marketing space and just learn how to live that brand in the leadership and how they all intertwine together, and how in this overly AI world we can learn to be more human and lead more human and live that brand a little bit better. And that's what I'm going to be talking about there. And I'm really excited. This is a brand new talk for me. Not necessarily a new topic, but new presentation, new talk. So I'm really looking forward to getting this out there, and hopefully it resonates with people both in marketing and outside.
Yeah.
Well, I think what's interesting with your talk too, Jim, is like, there's been a lot of conversation. I've had an interview last year where it was somebody from the Mars Candy Company, and we were talking about how personal brand can really, elevate your business brand or your professional brand. And I don't think a lot of people understand or realize that when you are part of a company, and I've had some debate over this where people are like, well, no, it's not your family. You should never say your workers are your family, but you are part of a family dynamic when you're working with a company, especially if it's a smaller company that's family owned and family run. How you bring yourself to work, how you are personally, affects that type of brand. So I'm looking forward to hearing your talk and seeing, what things I can learn from it. Cause I do feel like with all of the digital technologies, we're bringing more of our personal selves to work all the time. And that's what we're asking for, right? We want flexibility from the places that we work, and we want to be able to have that work-life balance or integration, or however you want to call it. I just say combine all of it together, because my personal life is my work life, and there's just no escaping it. So I'm really interested in hearing your talk.
And part of that came from an event this last fall where I did a talk on leadership in manufacturing. And I had a guy come up to me afterwards, and he said, "Do you ever talk about followership?" And so I'm adding a component of followership to this talk as well, because I think that that's often overlooked. We talk about leadership all the time, right? We talk about branding, we talk about culture, but we don't talk exactly to what you were just talking about, Megan, is that followership, that personal brand, that identity, those values that you bring into the world of work. And so I'm going to touch on that quite a bit as well. Hopefully I can jam it all into that slot that I have there.
At least you get an hour?
I don't know. Casey, do I have an hour? I
Casey, answer our question. She's in the chat here. She's in Kentucky with David.
All right.
Yeah. Okay. So
Wish I
Peyton's
was
here.
in Kentucky.
The Dale's
cold
going to
here.
speak twice this year. So he has the closing session.
Wow.
AI solutions for the overworked marketer. I think, yeah, that's good thing that's not one that people have to choose between tracks, because I think every single person would be attracted to this talk.
Casey says I have 45 minutes. There we
Okay.
go.
I was about to say, well, 45 minutes is still pretty good. At
That's
OT
enough
SCADACon,
time.
we're giving people, it's a 30-minute slot, including Q&A, and you can imagine that engineers have a hard time condensing their 30-something slides into the 30 minutes. So, coming to conferences like this and having a talk, it really is like a practice of your craft constantly, because you can't just come and just say the same old thing everywhere. And you really have to think through every time what fits the audience, what fits the time slot, what is important to say, what is not, how do you get the, storytelling is so important. But
I hope I get interrupted by questions and I don't get to make it through my presentation. That's my goal every time I present at a conference. It happened 2 years ago. I had an hour and a half slot. I made it through a quarter of my presentation. Before the first hand went up, I talked about employee recognition based on generational needs, and it just became a Q&A conversation about that, and it was awesome.
Yeah, no, your presentation at IMTS was the same, right? You drew a crowd, and then it was just very interactive.
Yeah, it was awesome. It was so much fun. That's my goal. So Casey, I hope you're okay with that. I hope it can just become a conversation and I ignore the slides. You can send them out later.
Patrick is laughing because he's the engineer I was referring to with those 36 slides. Yeah. Excuse me. All right. So if you guys are listening, if you're in here and on LinkedIn, participate in the show, please. It would be fun. So we like to be interrupted. We don't just want to hear ourselves talk. Patrick is an ICS industrial cybersecurity and networking expert, and he is replacing. And I'll bring him back on the screen here so you can see his name. Make sure to connect with him or follow him. He's replacing. I don't know whether to say we're happy or sad about him replacing Josh, our original speaker, but Josh has, it's July. Josh has family obligations or other priorities this year during July. So he thankfully recommended a replacement speaker to us, which we found to be a very great addition to our speaker lineup. And I love that. So we're actually also I'm going to a conference in Dallas, which is a community conference, the Industry 4.0 community conference. It's called Prove It, but it's a brand new conference as well. And it it's a very different paradigm from other trade shows that I've seen. What they're doing is so it's focused on the Industry 4.0, which is all about kind of the data and what to do with the data, how to look at, do predictive analytics and just connect all your systems, right? They talk a lot about the unified namespace and kind of how to best architect getting all your data up and being actionable with it. And what they're doing is every vendor that is sponsoring or participating has to actually solve a problem that they've put for the vendors. And so everybody comes in with proof of what they can do. And that's why they call it Prove It, I guess. And I don't know too much about it other than it's interesting enough to me that we've decided to attend because I think there's a lot for us to learn. And I'm not too familiar with I'm part of their Discord channel, but I just don't get a chance to go in there a whole lot. But it seems to be a great community kind of centered around the Industry 4.0 stuff. And I'm just a huge proponent of, if we feel like we want events that are different from the ones that we've been attending or the ones that have been in the industry for the last 20, 30 years, just make them, it doesn't have to be. Theirs is a big 300, or maybe multi-100 person event at a hotel. We went with a 50-person event that turned out to be 90 something people at a vendor, hosted place that we got for free from Phoenix Contact with OT SCADACon last year. So it can be, a big thing or a small thing. Start with a meetup or something. But if you have that idea, if you've seen that need for, people like you in the industry for a different type of event, then make it. And I think the people will come. And I've
Why-
seen, with Chris doing different new events that nobody's ever done in the industry before, I would just love to support anybody that's brave enough to go and make a new event.
Well, I think people get so used to attending these big major trade shows that they forget that they started out small too. So like, I don't know if you guys spent some time with Peter, who was is his title president or something of IMTS and AMT, but
Oh,
he
yeah.
was like the main guy. And when that show first started out, it was tiny. It wasn't as large as it is today. And it's the same with all these other major trade shows that are running around in the world. So I agree with you, Nikki, 100%. Like, just get a bunch of your friends together that have the same passion and stuff. The thing about Chris's events, though, like when he had his emo event last year at IMTS, I really hope you repeat that, by the way, Chris, because that was like the funnest thing ever to just attend and go to. But there were so many people, even what is her name from Universal Robots? She came here from Denmark. What's her name? You know her,
Amanda?
Nikki.
With
Yes,
the sparkly
Amanda.
jacket. Yeah.
Yeah, she came and she was talking to me outside of that event. She was like, it's just so nice to come to an event where you're not talking about work. You just can come, you can enjoy the music, you can dance, you can just be yourself. And yeah, if something comes up with work, great, but it's not like the main focus. And she's like, this is a lot of fun. Like, they had so much fun there. And that was like that was echoed throughout the night from different people that showed up at that event. Like, it was the best time there. Even the karaoke one that Jim held too, like, it was the same thing. Like, this is so different. Like, we're not talking about work. We're able to come and just let our hair down and like be who we are and authentic and have fun and feel refreshed and re-energized for the rest of the week, because that was a really long show.
I think
Yes.
that next time,
Longest show
though,
I've ever been to.
Yeah.
I think that next time Chris and I need to space those out a little bit better, though, because having them in back-to-back nights was freaking exhausting. I was dead to the world after the emo night. So, Chris, we'll work together on spacing those out a little bit more. But I echo Megan's and Nikki's comments. Your events are epic, man. I always love going to them.
I think one thing I've been saying a lot lately that was true of the concert that I threw, Jim, the karaoke night that you threw, do things that scare the marketing team. Like, think about events, think about activities, think about content you could do that might make a typical marketing organization go, I don't know, is that something we should do? Because if you sense a little bit of risk, for lack of a better word, that probably means it's going to be something that's noticeable and stands out in a positive way if you do it correctly.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, totally. And I think that was definitely one of those events that was a slam dunk in terms of that. I am starting to have a harder time breathing here. So if I mute myself, excuse me. I would love to know, actually, I don't know if there is anything on the website, but I know that the Industrial Marketing Summit has a happy hour, right? I think last time on the first day, I showed up right when the happy hour was ending because I had car trouble driving from Houston to Austin. I ended up having to rent a car and I was really late, and I made it just when it was ending. But do you guys know, and maybe Casey and you guys from IMS can chime in, but what are the after hours activities that are going along with Industrial Marketing Summit this year? And if
the networking reception is on Wednesday, the 19th from 4 to 5:30. And then I think they have something the 18th, maybe? I don't know.
I believe the second night event, the Thursday evening event, is called like the post-show simmer or something like that.
okay. After Summit Soiree.
Yeah.
After
Fun
Summit
cocktails,
Soiree, post-show simmer,
tasty
that was pretty
tapas.
close. That was pretty
Yeah, it was. It was in the right place in the alphabet. So what better way to round out a day full of brain blasting sessions than with fun cocktails, tasty tapas, and conversations with your industrial marketing peers? Location to be announced. Okay, so tapas though, I'm down. I actually found, so I'm on a really limited diet right now, and I'm not drinking, but I have a hard time finding things to eat at certain places. And I went to tapas with my marketing friend, Lenny Vasquez, marketing at Quotebeam. who I would love to come to this event sometime. I think she would really love it. We went to Tapas Place in Bellevue, and I ate the weirdest combination of things, but that all conformed to my strange diet. So it was like sardines and Brussels sprouts and like all separate because they're small dishes. They don't have to go together. But that's fun. I think it's
and it's
Go ahead.
Austin. I
Yes.
mean, let's be real. It's Austin. Austin is one of, in my humble opinions, the greatest cities in the U.S. It's right up there with Nashville, New Orleans, any place that you can walk down the street and you have a different kind of music coming out of each establishment is my kind of like personal heaven. So
Oh, yeah.
it's going to be an awesome week.
Yep. So Casey says offsite party on Thursday, and then the reception in the beginning is at the hotel. But then you don't need the show to organize for you in a place like Austin. You know,
Right.
like you said, Jim. Like everything that you would want to do is right there on 6th Street, or in the surrounding areas, downtown for sure. And that's another thing so I went to the Assembly Show South in Nashville last year, and I will probably keep going to that show no matter what the results of the show are, for being able to go to Nashville. And
I
even
love
in the middle of the
Nashville.
week, it's just
Yeah.
full of just music and just people. And it's one of the perks of being able to be in the position where you get to go to these conferences. I know it's not all fun and games. You know, my friends and family, they're like, oh, you get to go to such and such place. And it's like most of the time I don't get to leave the hotel or the conference center, and it's a lot of work. And then you have to catch up on work when you get home. So, you know, it isn't all glamorous, and going to these events, it's a big commitment. It's a sacrifice as well, because you have to put other things on hold. Which is why we take these little nuggets of time and try to infuse a little bit of fun into it, right?
Yep.
Also, just from the human connection standpoint, you learn a lot of good information in the day, and then you can reinforce those connections with people over breaking bread, right, or over a drink, or over doing something fun together.
Yep, absolutely. So Nikki, you're not drinking. Megan, you're not drinking either, right? Did I see that
No,
post out of you?
I haven't drank since the new year. I think I had one beer on January 1st because we took I took my kids to duck pin bowling, because where I live, we have a new pub and play place that just opened up, and they have like duck pin bowling, old arcade games, mini golf, all this stuff. So I had one beer there, but I'm going to be starting this program called the 75 Hard program, and I'm debating whether or not to start it in February or March. But basically, I can't drink on it. I can't eat any processed foods or sugars. I have to drink a gallon of water every day, which I don't understand how that's even humanly possible. Like, I can do that with coffee, but water, like, what the heck? But
You can drink a gallon of coffee. You can drink a gallon of water.
I guess
actually
I don't
stopped
know.
drinking coffee. Mostly I drink tea now. And you
But
would have found me. I'm like the hardest. Like, before anything else, coffee. I love black coffee. I make coffee 7 different ways.
Well, I put honey in mine and
In your
call
coffee?
it a day. Yeah, it's so good.
Oh.
It's so good. But yeah, you have to take like a 15-minute cold shower every day. You have to work out twice. One has to be outside for 45 minutes. So I don't know when I want to start it, because February, it's cold here in Wisconsin, and I just don't know if I want to do that. And I have 2 shows that I'm going to, IMS and then something for WIM. So I just don't know if that's really the right time for me to try to change everything and, kind of be miserable at these 2 shows, not being able to do, and then having to work out too while you're traveling. It's just hard. So
Yep.
I don't know. I think I'm going to start it in March, but it's only for 75 days. And the people that I know who've done it had really good results from it. Like, they got ripped pretty quickly and lost a ton of weight, and they have all this energy. And I'm just like, okay, that's what I want at 41 years old.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm
Mine
in
is
the
for
middle
health
of-
reasons. I kind of ran myself a little too hard on just mostly coffee the last 3 years. So my body's like, nope, give me good stuff now. And I think those of us that like live our work so much, or we enjoy it so much that we just do it all the time, like it's sometimes other things fall by the wayside.
Mhm.
And with this next chapter of mine, being a little bit more conscious of my health is a part of it. It's part of the package. And I think everybody can, and you know it most of the time. You don't always take your own advice, right? But then hopefully for most people, there comes the time where you realize that, okay, it's time to focus on that. And for me, it's this year, and I'm feeling a lot better than I was at, just the end of last year. It was just like kind of energy was down, and it was hard. It was hard.
That's why I took December off. I was like, I'm done.
Well, this is a great way to get back into the new year and to get, back in touch with the community in person. I'm also headed to the Orlando in a couple of weeks for the A3 Forum, which I guess is typically kind of the first show of the year for me. And then this falling in February with Prove It. So I have 2 local conferences in Texas in February where I get to drive my mom van. So if anybody needs a ride, I'll be the DD in the mom van, and we can have lots of fun. Does anybody else? I think we could probably just wrap this up. Wait, are we already over? No, we're not. Okay. We started at 12:30. I was thinking we were on the hour, but we maybe just wrap this up. I don't know if anybody else has questions, but if anybody is here and sees this, go to industrialmarketingsummit.com and check out the schedule and check out the speakers. And this is really the only conference that exists in the US for industrial marketers of all types that is run by this wonderful group, but it's not specific to if you're a client of theirs or if you have to be working with them. And by this group, there's more than one. So there are.
But do they have a virtual component to it that people can sign up for?
So I don't know about that in terms of if you go to the registration, let's see what it says. Register now. There we go.
Was Casey on there?
So it has a digital pass. Yes.
Oh,
so you can
cool.
join digitally if you cannot join in person. So I would highly recommend it. They also have a Slack group called Industrial Marketing Live, which is run by one of the companies that runs Industrial Marketing Summit. I believe it's Gorilla 76. I hope I don't get that wrong. And that's a really great group too to network. And if you don't get a chance to come to the summit, if you don't even get a chance to get the digital pass, just join their free Slack community. And you have tons of industrial marketers that you can reach out to and ask questions or have at your disposal to try to share resources or get advice. And then they hold, or at least they used to. I used to attend them back when I had the time. They had these industrial marketing live sessions like on Zoom. I'm not sure if they do those anymore, but just I would highly recommend this community if you're in marketing for industrial companies, industrial automation, and I think they extend it to kind of the broader industrial manufacturing community. But I guess I'll just do a round of letting you guys sign off and say anything that you want to share or anything that you think I missed or anything to throw out to the community. All right, sweet. Casey says, yes, that is correct. It's Gorilla 76 is Marketing Live. Awesome. Any other recommendations for marketers out there if they can't come to the summit? I guess we'll throw that out there as well. Jim?
My recommendation for the marketers out there would be push as hard as you can to be able to go to the summit. I think one thing we need to drive home here at the end is that it really is a who's who of proactive, forward-thinking marketers in the industrial space. And that's not hyperbole. Last year, I think we had something around 200 folks. I'm already getting texts from folks saying, hey, I just signed up for the event, need to look for a hotel now. Get down to Austin for this, because this is where you're going to be able to build alliances and exchange ideas that will allow you to get your company, to get your services, to get your solutions, machines, products, whatever it is, in front of the people that can buy them. So by all means, if you can, talk to your manager, talk to the decision makers at your company, make sure you're getting down there to Austin for this event. Of course, the digital pass is a good fallback, but we still got plenty of time to get this on calendars and get folks to join the party with us down in Austin, Texas.
Thanks, Chris. Yeah, I think the digital part is a great fallback, like you said, but don't think that it's should be like, oh, well, I can just do that. Like, no, you really should come. You really should come. It makes such a big difference, particularly just the value that you get out of the connections of actually being there and getting to know people.
Mhm. And if you can't come, I'd recommend going through that speaker lineup and also looking at who the hosts are of the show. So it's True Marketing, Gorilla 76. Follow them, get connected with all of those individuals and reach out to them if you are having trouble. Like the first person that I met at Gorilla was Joe, and I credit him for blowing up Mavens because after I was on Joe, that's when Chris reached out to me. So I like cried last year when I first met Joe because it was the first time I met him in person. But they're just a good group of people and they want to see people succeed and become better marketers. So don't be afraid to like reach out and have any questions. I'm gonna do a shameless plug here, but on January 15th, I'll be talking with not Joe anymore because he had something come up, but John Franco, who also works with Joe, and then Wendy. They'll be talking about some things that they're excited for around the show. So we're going to keep talking about it, and you'll learn more of what the happenings are going to be there. So just tune into that next week as well. But get connected with all of us. Like, we're a big family. I know I probably shouldn't say that because some people have a problem with it, but we are family. So, yeah.
And, all of us, we just have very limited time and resources to dedicate, but at the same time, we're so willing to help. So if you come with a reasonable ask or a question, or maybe just at the right time, sometimes you just need to try again later. Like if we don't respond, don't take it as we hate you. It's just, but this really is like a group of people that genuinely just wants to help each other. And I will say the same thing. I know Jake Hall is one of the speakers this year. He actually is the one that introduced me to Megan, told me that he thought I would be a good guest for her show. And that is also part of what inspired me to do Automation Ladies. So, this whole thing is just kind of like, we're all here to not be the stars of the show, but to help everybody else that maybe has something to say, because I don't think any of us came here to be celebrities. We would be in LA, not in the automation and manufacturing industry. Right. But
I'm introverted.
that we think is important to share. And I would say, I don't know, we're brave enough to give it a try to share it. And I want to support and help anybody else that feels like they have something to say. And that includes good organizations that want to market themselves. If you have quality people, you treat them well, you have a quality product, then you should be getting your story out there, because that should be a big differentiator. Because there honestly are companies that make terrible things and treat their people not well, and they can spend a lot of money with the traditional old school marketing style, which was spend a lot of money on advertising and lots of people will know about your product and think it's cool. Things aren't that same way anymore. Not everybody watches TV and watches big, TV advertisements. Now it's a lot more about word of mouth in communities, people asking for referrals, and people want to know not just that the product, is cool, but that they're dealing with a quality supplier, that they're dealing with a good company, that it treats their employees well, because that means that they're going to be treated well as customers, right? And as we share more about our personal selves in the business and in the work as well, then, it just becomes that much more important, right? We want to know this about the people that we work with. And I think that storytelling and those new ways of getting your story out there is exactly what the Industrial Marketing Summit is kind of about, but from a actual how-to perspective and how to do it from a professional as a marketer. And yeah, it's a really great community. So follow everybody that are speakers, connect with them. I'm sure they would love to connect with you if you have, you're in the industry, and reach out to any of us, connect with us. And then you'll probably come next year, right? Like if you see the content, you see some of the value, you start to get to know the people. So this obviously isn't the last chance to come, but it would be a great way to kick off 2025.
And I just want to throw in, everybody needs professional development, right? And marketing is often overlooked in a lot of organizations as to providing that professional development. This can be it, right? Every company should be providing employees about 5% of their salary in professional development. The cost of this should fall well below that 5%. So sign up, come down, learn something, take something away, meet some really cool people, be in a really cool spot, see some really cool music, eat some really bad for you food, and drink some things that aren't great for you either. But just come have a good time and take something away. I guarantee when you look at that speaker lineup, there is a takeaway for every single person, and not just in the marketing space. There's takeaways for everybody on that lineup. So come on down, check us out, have fun. If you need help writing a justification, reach out to me on LinkedIn. I'd love to help you write a justification, and let's make it happen.
All right. So I will also throw in culinary scene in Austin. Austin just got 7 Michelin stars. So they just released their first Michelin guide for Texas, and Austin beat Houston by 1. Wow. And I will say it's actually because they have more barbecue restaurants. So a lot of the Austin restaurants are barbecue, and they're heavily represented in the star collection, including some great American restaurants and other things. Houston is just really ethnically diverse, and so we have tons of different types of restaurants on that we got stars for. So I went to college in Austin, but now that I live in Houston, like I have to root for it a little bit more. But if you haven't had Austin barbecue, look up some of Chris's YouTube and recent content from, I think last year he ate some barbecue in Austin before the summit. I don't know if it's on your YouTube, Chris, or just posts or what. Where can people see you eat barbecue?
I will dig up an old video that I did a decade ago of traveling to Franklin Barbecue. There are some posts from last year as well. Might be able to find those and repost those, but I do have some content on where to go. I've tried a handful in Austin, and Franklin Barbecue, even though it's probably the most popular, is still my favorite. And I would say it's the most popular for a good reason. So go to Franklin
it is one
Barbecue.
of the ones that did get a star. I'd have to verify that, but I'm pretty sure it was.
I would happily pay more for their brisket than the best steak at the best steakhouse in the world. That's how much I like Franklin Barbecue.
Wow.
Stubbs was my go-to, but I went there more for the shows than the barbecue. But anyway,
Stubbs is a cool,
thank you.
Very cool venue.
Yeah. Thank you guys for joining us. Thank you for those of you that are on the show and those of you that joined live. I don't have any more live scheduled for Automation Ladies right now, but what I will probably do is, until we get a new audio producer, and hopefully a video producer this time around as well, for Automation Ladies, we'll be sticking with lives since those don't need producing, right? So I will probably go seeing you around with more lives. We may not be doing them every week, but I'm trying to figure out still how to properly invite people. If you follow Automation Ladies, I would assume that it would be appropriate to invite you to our live events. But LinkedIn does not make that easy. So random people get invites to these things. If anybody has any better suggestions how to let people know that we're going live, please do let me know. But until then, I guess you just have to hope we're on your feed and check in occasionally. And I will now stop rambling. And what do they call it? They call this a Minnesota goodbye, right? Where you never actually leave. You say goodbye in the doorway for like 30 minutes. That's totally me. So thank you guys. We're going to sign off. We're going to end the stream. Have a great rest of your Wednesday. Bye.